Good day to you, my dear.
Good afternoon to you, Chen. How are you?
I'm very well. And how about your good self?
I'm fine, thank you. The sun's shining. Always happy when the sun's shining.
Yes, yes. As you say, it makes people feel better in themselves when the weather's better. And of course, the sun is a complementary factor for vitamin D that basically releases hormones in your body and makes you feel happy. So this is good. And this, of course, is why living in warm, hot countries with lots of sun is generally better for people.
Definitely. Well, we've got some great questions again for you this week, Chen.
Yes,
So,
good. I'm
so
excited
would
and
you like
looking
to start
forward.
with the first one? Yeah,
Yes, of
let's
course,
go
my
then.
dear.
Right. The first one is from Kathy Barker, sorry. In a chat with you, I found out that I have interdimensional spirit guide. What does interdimensional mean, and how best to strengthen the bond with an interdimensional spirit guide? Thank you so much for your guidance, Chen.
Yes, it's a very good question. So interdimensional is just frequency, really. So everything, as we know, is frequency. Humans operate on a certain base band of frequencies. And then obviously spiritual entities like myself obviously exist in different spiritual entity frequencies or different frequencies of vibration for those entities. So effectively, an interdimensional entity is basically, if you like, from your perspective, a non-human, so a spiritual entity that exists in that interdimensional space that is on a different frequency band. So basically a guide, a spirit guide, or obviously it could be an extraterrestrial species of alien in the way that you would understand things. We see interdimensional entities as your brothers and sisters, incidentally, but of course you see them slightly differently from a physical perspective. So to answer the second part of the question, to communicate with them, all other entities that humans can contact and speak with can be connected to using telepathy. So telepathy is inbuilt into every human that's incarnated onto the planet. It's part of your DNA and your general makeup. So all of you have access to use telepathy. But of course, for many people, it has to be worked on. Some people are mediums or psychics that are born with that part of their brain working, are able from birth to see other energies. So people that have been alive and now dead, we call them discarnate spirits. And of course, other species of entity they can communicate with. But for the rest of the population, you have to work on, like a muscle. If you want large muscles, you go to the gymnasium to basically stretch the muscles and make them grow bigger. The same with spirituality. If you want to use telepathy, you need to do that generally through meditation is the best method. And in meditation, you obviously start to work a different part of your brain. And if you have guided meditations, the guided meditations can open you up to connect to your spirit guides, where you can then start to see them and converse with them using telepathy. Of course, the other method is to use substance. So many substances like mushrooms and other things obviously can basically, using chemical, change the biological and the chemical structure of the brain to effectively enable telepathy. So there are two methods from our perspective. The safest method is to do it the longer way, to develop telepathy using meditation. The shortcut method is to use substance, but of course this can have different types of results.
Thank you very much, Jen. Hope that's explained it for Kathy better. So the next question is from Tamara Grunherd. Hi, Chen. Such a pleasure and honor to bring this question to you. You spoke about ascension symptoms in your last chat. I'm sure we are all experiencing various degrees of ascension symptoms during this glorious process. And though my soul is incredibly grateful to be part of this momentous event, my physical vessel is getting a little weary. Can you give us an idea of whether our physical bodies will adapt to ascension energies eventually? Will we become more energetic and liberated physically, more crystalline, a bit less carbon? And when might this occur? Thank you for the opportunity to pose this question.
Yes, it's a very interesting topic and question. So the short answer is the ascension process is a vibratory change. So the energies coming into planet Earth, as we spoke about before, are changing, and therefore physical humans, and of course all of the plant life, all of the animal life, all of the aquatic life on the planet are also experiencing similar types of challenges from a physical perspective. So basically, the vibrations coming into the planet are changing and they are ascending by default. So of course, your physical bodies have to vibrate at a faster rate. And of course, that means for most people that as your, again, physical bodies are changing, most people are suffering with memory loss, pains in different parts of their bodies, muscular problems, cognitive problems. So the whole host of physical problems that most people on planet Earth will actually be experiencing, that they won't really put down to the fact that the planet is changing its vibration and effectively ascending into a different space. But if you think about it, you're still a 3D dimensional physical person. Obviously, I have a spiritual body, so I exist in 4 or 5D because of the vibrations that I can attain. But for most of you, you're still trapped in your physical body, and that's vibrating at the lower frequencies in 3D. So this is where you spend your time and your space. But of course, as time goes by, over the next year or so, I would say that most people will have adapted to this new vibration coming in, and you'll find that the cognitive aspects, the memory loss, problem sleeping, those sorts of things, muscular pains across the body will start to be alleviated. And what will happen is, of course, you will start to realize that many spiritual people can talk to interdimensional entities. So these entities that are here, they're around you continually. You're walking past them in the street, you're seeing them in your mind's eye, you're speaking to them in your dream state, generally, certainly your own guides. So people are going to become more aware that they have access to these other spiritual frequencies that have always existed, just that they've only been open to those people that really spend time and effort to develop themselves from a spiritual perspective. Does that make sense to you, my dear?
That makes perfect sense. Thank you, Chen. Right, the next question is from Marla Lumina. Hi, Chen. Can you share with us a spiritual protection protocol to help us to easily protect a business in an ongoing manner where there are many people coming and leaving the property every day? I have already surrounded the property with sea salt, placed small crystals around the corners of the property, used sound healing and visualization to clear the energy, but I'm not able to do all of those things every day. My question is, in what ways can I maintain a clear, pure and pristine business environment so that everyone who enters the property is able to energetically feel safe, protected and lovingly held in this refuge, retreat and safe haven? Thank you, Chen.
Yes, it's a very interesting question. And of course, it's a question that applies to many, many people. So people that run normal businesses as opposed to spiritual businesses have the same challenges. They have people coming across the threshold of the doorway into the business office or business space on a daily basis, lots of people. And of course, as we know, many people have hitchhikers on their backs effectively. So people are coming in with entity attachments, with this kind of spiritual attachments. They're coming in with low vibrations. Some of them will have been cursed, so they'll be carrying curse energy. Some of them will be a very negative vibration. And some of them, of course, will be masquerading as good people when they're not so good. So again, energetically, they're angry and vibrating at a low frequency. So again, if we go back to the concept that everything is frequency, the way you need to see things is that when your doorway is the access point physically for a physical human person to walk into your business. So the doorway is the first part of the first point of call, really. So what I would suggest from our perspective is to place a mat on the outside, probably, if you can, and certainly on the inside of the door that has something like a pentagram or some sort of spiritual protection icon underneath. So that could be as simple as printing out a pentagram on a piece of A4 paper and just placing it underneath the mat. That gives you a certain level of protection. So basically what you're doing is you're upping the levels of protection before people enter the property. Then the next thing, of course, is obviously sea salt. So again, you could sprinkle sea salt underneath that mat on top of that pentagram. Sea salt is very protective and helps to push back negativity generally, and of course, certainly entities. Another thing, of course, would be water. So you could have some sort of water feature by your front door or somewhere close, pointing at the front door, because entities struggle with water. So entities are they will find that their energy is drained when they are near and come across water. And this kind of goes back to the old days, really, of if you think about castles and moats, the moat was designed around a castle to stop people attaining or bridging the gap. It also stopped spiritual entities from crossing the threshold as well. And that was the concept of the drawbridge. The drawbridge stopped physical people, it stopped horses from entering a castle, but the same concept applies with entities. Entities can't really cross water because it drains their energy. So any water near a front door would have the same effect. It removes the power and drains the negative aspect. Now, obviously, placing crystals around is the same because crystals increase vibration. Crystals like selenite have a very high vibration. So a selenite feature or selenite crystal close to the front door, again, increases that level of protection. Then you could be playing positive music. So again, music is vibration. The strings and the instrumentation of music obviously carry certain frequencies. So if you were playing high vibrating classical music or music that's very positive, that makes people feel good, near a front door, again, increases that level of protection. Now, of course, one of the things that we need to think about is there are physical aspects that you can do. So we're using amulets here, we're using water, we're using sea salt. There's lots of things that we can do, as the young lady discussed. But of course, the other thing is you can invoke spiritual guides. So one of the things that wasn't mentioned in the question, that the young lady didn't say, is you can actually ask your spirit guides to protect your door. So you can actually manifest or invite a spiritual entity, almost as a virtual doorkeeper, to stand by your door and basically only allow people that have a positive experience or agenda, or people that are vibrating in a positive way. The other thing, of course, you can do in meditation is you can manifest thought forms. So you can go through a guided meditation where you create a thought form in your mind. That thought form could be an animal, it could be an object, it could be an entity, and you could place that thought form either side of your front door with the job to only allow positive things through and to stop anything negative. So again, think about different layers. One thing on its own doesn't really work, but lots and lots of things together increases the level of protective vibration. But ultimately, of course, if you have a very, very powerful negative entity, for instance, there won't be anything that you can do physically that really can stop them from traversing the threshold. They can come into your space because they have a very strong, powerful vibration. And that's where they would need to be met with an equal and opposite positive vibration. So someone from myself, like myself, or from my team would obviously stop these types of entities moving into that space. So you could put a thought out and say, Chen, we request your help or your team's help to maintain and protect this threshold, this doorway, from anything negative. And if that thought is propagated to us spiritually, then we will also be stood by your side and provide you with that level of protection. And also, of course, we have the normal concepts of businesses where lots of people have been in and out. The vibration and energy can become quite stagnant. So regular cleansing from the concepts of space cleansing with sage or Palo Santo or any of these types of essence obviously make a big difference. So on a daily basis, if I ran a business, when the door's closed, I would spend 10 minutes. I would just basically clear the space, walk around with some powerful incense, different types of incense on different days, again, different frequencies of vibration, and just basically clear the stagnant energy. The other thing, of course, is misting. It's very powerful. So you could create some sort of a bottle of pure water, or structured water would be better if you can get structured water. And then you could put essences of rose oil or other drops of oil, eucalyptus and things in that water, shake it up, and then just walk around the room spraying it, because the mist again is a clarifying level of purity from a spiritual perspective. So there's all sorts of things that can be done, but hopefully that gives the person that asked the question some good ideas.
Yes, thank you. There's lots of good, useful information there, Chen. Thank you. So the next question is from Sarah Chappell. She's written, "Hello, Chen. Thank you for that beautiful healing session. I've been listening to the Swaru videos lately and the Tagtons, and they speak of us needing meat still. But what about the children being born today? Their bodies are different. Do they need to eat meat? My 3-year-old isn't overly keen, and I've never forced meat on him, but want to make sure he is fed properly. Thank you.
Yes, it's a very interesting question. So on the one hand, we have the vibration of the planet ascending, which means that from a mental perspective, people are going to be moving away from trauma and low vibration. So let's think about when you kill an animal or you kill a fish, the fish or the animal is in trauma. So if you take a cow and you take a cow to the slaughterhouse, the cow generally knows it's going to slaughter. It will pick up on the fear-based vibrations of all of the cows that have gone before into that slaughterhouse. As it walks up into the area that it will be slaughtered, it will know what's about to happen from a spiritual perspective and will be in fear. And therefore, because the fear hormone is activated, there will be a level of negative adrenaline, so fear in the blood. So the blood will be percolating with a very low vibration of intense fear. The same as a human. If we were going to chop your head off and you knew it was about to happen, you would be very fearful, and therefore your blood would be carrying high levels of adrenaline, basically, and that, of course, is a low vibration. So the same is for animals. So when that animal, that cow, is then slaughtered, obviously the vibration that it had at its last few moments before it died in its blood is then imbued into the physical vehicle, the body. So then when you eat the meat from your supermarkets, if you could look at the vibration, if you had some sort of spectrometer that could actually study the vibration of an object, you would see the vibration would be quite low because, of course, it's being held in negativity, in fear. So when you ingest that into your own body, you're putting in a negative frequency. So your body, on the one hand, will start to reduce its vibration because you've entered something, or something's entered the body of a low vibration. So yours will come down slightly to counteract that, basically. But on the other side of the coin, if we look at the biological aspect, humans are physical biological entities, and the human digestive system and the human makeup was designed to process everything on the planet. So meat, fish, and animals included as plants and fauna. So your bodies do require meat as protein for you to obviously develop in a positive, healthy way, and for the brain system to work. Fish oil is quite important. So omega-3, those sorts of things. So there's lots of vitamins and minerals that come from meat and fish that you can't really get just from plants. And people that move into a vegetarian or vegan diet find that they will be lacking in certain nutrition. And therefore, of course, that has a cognitive knock-on effect. So the mental aspects of people that are vegetarian and vegan will suffer slightly because, of course, they're not assimilating all of the nutrients, the fish oils, the meats, the proteins and things that come from animals. So this is a kind of twofold answer, really. On the one hand, becoming vegetarian and not eating meat and fish is a good thing from a spiritual perspective, but from a purely physiology, a biological perspective, the human body doesn't really do well without meat and fish. So it's a balancing act, like everything. So many people are making decisions not to eat meat from a conscious perspective, but of course they do then suffer with the nutritional aspect. Does that make sense, my dear?
Yes, that does. That's very interesting. Never thought of it like that. Thank you. So the next question is from Courtney Martin. Hi, Chen. I had a dream that felt very real. I was someone's spirit guide. I gave them advice, and it was interesting because my thoughts were clear and my perspective of these things was different. It was quite interesting. I would like to learn more about what we do when we are sleeping. Where do we go? Do we help others? Thank you, Chen.
Yes, it's another very interesting question. So the question is talking about sleep and dream state, really. So obviously, from a sleep perspective, when the human vehicle goes to sleep, the human person goes to sleep, the conscious mind turns off. But of course, the subconscious mind is still on. And the subconscious aspect of a human is the part that regulates everything to do with the body. So it keeps your heart beating, it keeps you breathing, basically keeps your organs working and keeps you alive. So as we know from coma, people that are in comas, the conscious aspect has been turned off. They're not able to articulate their physical body anymore. They can't open their eyes, they cannot speak, they cannot move their limbs and muscles, but of course the actual physical part is still alive. So that would mean that the subconscious aspect is still connected to the physical body, and therefore the subconscious part is still keeping everything alive and working. So that the coma concept shows you there are these two aspects to the physical person. And then if we overlay that with the spiritual conscious awareness, obviously every second of every day, the spiritual part of you that's intricately linked to your subconscious is aware of everything you think, do, and say. So basically, it's like a recording that's running continually. So even when your conscious mind can't remember things, or you can't remember things that you did or said years and years ago, or things in your childhood, the subconscious spiritual aspect records every single detail. When you pass over into spirit and you die, basically your whole life can be replayed second by second. So all of the things that you think you've forgotten or didn't happen can be replayed to you in that way. So in terms of where you go, so when we go to sleep, or when you go to sleep, the conscious mind turns off, the subconscious is still on, the subconscious is still able to connect using telepathy to the spiritual vibration. So part of you is still able to talk to your spirit guides. The guides can basically use the dream state to work with you. So many people that are having odd dreams, dreams of existences in different planets or on different planets, will probably find that they're actually connecting to either past lives or their guides are taking them on effectively, almost like a visualized guided meditation to different spaces, different planets. Now, if you start to work with your spiritual teams and your guides in the dream state, the guides can start to help you evolve spiritually by taking you through different scenarios and situations, which of course can be very good from a spiritual progressive perspective. Now, if we look at the negative aspect, in your dream state, the conscious mind is turned off, therefore the subconscious is on, which we've established. But of course, if you have negative entities or discarnate spirit that are negative around you or connected to you in terms of attachments, then they will manipulate your dream space to be negative. So they feed on low vibrating negative energy. So they will take you through different types of dreams that make you feel very fearful, and you'll probably find yourself waking up sweating, your heart will be beating really quickly, and you'll feel fearful, and that would be an indicator that there are negative aspects in your space that are manipulating that dream space and dream time. Does that hopefully answer the question?
It certainly does. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Right. So now we're moving on to our last question. And I find this one really interesting because I have this fear. But the question is from Linnell Newman Bowie. Hello, Chen. Last week's question answers reminded me of something I've wondered for a long time. Why are so many people afraid of spiders? Was there some kind of past life where spiders were huge and would attack us or something?
Yes, it's a very interesting question. I think it's a question that I've covered before at some point in one of my conversations. So basically, in the human sphere, there have been planets that arachnoids and insectoids, so spiders and other insects live on, that are bigger than humans, basically. And there have been wars in the past with arachnoids. So basically, people that are very, very frightened of spiders would find if they went into some sort of past life regression, they've probably come from or lived on a planet whereby these arachnoids or insectoids have basically been at war with the human fraternity, and you've probably been put to death by them because they're very certainly the arachnoid species of extraterrestrial, if you like, are very dominant and very powerful and very very warlike. So many humans would have probably been put to death on planets where these things exist. And that's this irrational fear of spiders that so many people talk about. Because of course the reality is most spiders don't kill you. Most people live in countries where spiders are not poisonous. Most of them are tiny, in fact, and they live around you in your house. And of course, spiders can be good. They eat bugs. They eat small insects and things that can become problematic in the spaces that you live and exist, and they obviously help the ecosystem. So spiders generally, we see them, would be quite positive, but obviously this intense fear of spiders or arachnoids is coming from other lifetimes basically, and other encounters with them, in my opinion. Does that make sense, my dear?
That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much, Chen. And thank you for joining us again this week. Looking forward to next week again with lots more questions, which I'm sure you will look forward to too.
I will do, my dear. I look forward to it intensely. So I would like to say thank you very much to everyone for the opportunity to answer some of these interesting questions. And I think this is so good because, of course, it provides a platform for people to get answers, or certainly my opinion of answers, across such a diverse subject. And the subject is very, very diverse. So the more answers that people find and the more opinions people hear, then the more you can align yourself to the things that you believe and the answers that resonate with you primarily.
Exactly. Thank you so much again.
Okay, and we'll say good day to you, my dear, and we will look forward to next week.
See you next week. Thank you, Chen. Bye-bye.